Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Saturday Spotlight. I am so excited to see you, and I'm so excited for you to meet our new guest author this week. This week, we have author Rachel Corsini with us. Rachel is a women's fiction author with a good dose of romance, and her debut book, Sushi and Sea Lions, has recently come out, and we're going to talk about it today. How are you, Rachel?
So happy to be here. Yeah, my debut came out, I guess, in May, like 2023. So it's been very exciting so far. Like the whole debut author, what that is. I didn't realize it could be so hectic.
Yeah, I have to ask. It's such a cute title, right? And it gives such a good visual. How did you come up with the title Sushi and Sea Lions?
So Sushi and Sea Lions, I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more metaphoric, I guess. And sushi is one of the things that the main character loves in the book. And she also loves the sea lions at the zoo and at the aquarium. And she's struggling with her love of self. And so one of the main, I guess, internal struggles and themes that travels throughout the story, and with women's fiction that's huge, is, finding a love for herself and all of the things that she loves. And so when I was thinking about a title, I was like, I can't just be like, love yourself. I was like, that's so cheesy. I was like, so what encompasses that? And it has a little bit of a hook or is a little bit unique. And I was like, oh my God, Sushi and Sea Lions. And so when you read the story, you can kind of see where that comes from.
I love it. I think it's totally unique, and as a deep, ocean animal lover, I relate to it, and I love sushi too. So I'm right there with you. I think I'm the target audience for that type of title. Now, this is women's fiction with a hefty dose of romance in it, right? What kind of led you to that genre? Is that what you read or just something else?
So, funny story is I was not a romance reader. I was not a chick lit. Well, every once in a while I would pick up the women's fiction chick lit, that's the old term, right? Books. But initially, that wasn't the only thing I ever read. I'm a broad genre reader, right? I read graphic novels, I read fantasy, I read historical fiction. I dabbled in writing historical fiction for a little bit, and I had never finished a book, okay? I have written books, started books, gotten halfway through books, and I had never finished anything. And I think nothing was ever close enough, I guess, to me, right? And so I had some personal upheaval in my life, and which found myself drinking a bottle of wine and crying on my couch on Christmas Day because I lived in the apartment upstairs for my parents. You can see where this is going. And so my aunt came upstairs and she was like, I know you're sad and you're going through things. She's like, you used to write. What happened to that? And I was like, I don't know. And then, so I was like, maybe I should write. And it started as journaling. And that's where the story started, as journaling. And then it turned into my character Daniela's story from there. So it is a very much write what you know book. And all, her emotions and things. She's not exactly like me, but there are many, many things that are very, very similar to me. And I finished the book. So that's really where it came from. The heavy dose of romance was almost kind of people like to read romance, right? Who doesn't want a happily ever after? Everybody wants a happily ever after. And originally, it wasn't a happily ever after, and I was like, man, this is sad. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is awful. And I was like, no. And so I changed it. I was like, no, she deserved her happily ever after, and so I gave it to her. And so that's really where that came from. So the long answer to your question.
No, I love long answers. Long answers are great. Oh, well, obviously so many thoughts in that, right? Because there's so much to unpack. But one, I think my first thought is, you said that you had started so many, and this is the one that, like, you really completed, and it was at, a turbulent time in your life. Did it help? Do you think that writing this kind of helped pull you out or heal or some type of, positive transition for you? Was completing the book, kind of a soulful journey for you?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I was like, instead of paying thousands of dollars for therapy, write a book and just have everyone read it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, it was very cathartic because it wasn't only about, it didn't help me heal and look at just what had happened in that few months or like that moment. I put a lot of things into Daniela that I had avoided for many, many years. So it was also like her healing journey, like helped my healing journey. And that's what kind of made it so beautiful too. It was like, well, it's like I birthed you. Like, this is my baby. And, and it also helped me grow and like let go of some things that I've been holding on to for a really long time, which was really, really great. And then, to have it get a deal and, to be published and be out there in the world, like that's kind of amazing. And yeah, so it did. It very, very much did. That I sat there and I just put it all out there on the page and I was honest and I just let it happen. And that was, yeah. So it was awesome.
I love that. I'm even happier now that Daniela got her happily ever after, because I think, a lot of writers, whether it's our main character or side character, there tends to be either situations or characters that are a lot more like X-ray vision into ourselves than the reader might assume, and that's hard to put on paper, whether it's like straightforward, this is my life, or, just a situation that someone's going through. It's hard to be that vulnerable because it's a book. You're going to get reviews. You even want reviews. But then you're asking people to judge these vulnerable, tough moments, which is a place I think anybody, whether they're a reader, a writer, or neither, can relate that that's not the ideal situation to be in. Like, let me show this rawest form of me, and then please judge me on a scale from 1 to 5 stars. Like, it's not.
So reviews, I will say, for the most part, I have received fairly favorable reviews for Sushi and Sea Lions. The ones that were scathing were like, I mean, I can't even say because like it would give, one is like very spoilerish. But the other one was like really funny because Daniela has a cat in this story, and the cat is almost kind of a little like conscious-y, like given her like a very vibrant personality, which my cat had.
I have 2 of them. They have very distinct personalities.
And she's named after my cat in the book. And Reggie was very old and very sassy. And you knew if Reggie liked you or not, or deemed you worthy to be in her space. And so I used that in the story. And one of a 2-star review that I got basically was like, I hated this book so much. However, I could not rate it 1 star because the cat was the best thing I've ever read in my life. And I said, I'll take it. But, the vulnerability, right, and being honest and inviting that criticism in, I mean, yes, it can be very scathing. That 1-star review, I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is horrible. Like, I never want to see another one again. So it's like, I don't know. I try to avoid reviews, and yet I want my ego just to be stroked just enough. And so I will then go in and be like, did I get a review today? And like go in to like look and see if I have been reviewed. But but like I said, for the most part, there have been some like mostly favorable 3 and up. The 1 and 2 stars were like outliers, which so I can't really ask for anything more, you know. But yeah, reviews are a very mixed bag. They can turn you so bad.
It can, and it's tricky because most people other than the author won't know what the raw see-through parts are, right? Like, most people probably wouldn't know before this interview or other interviews you've done that Reggie was in the book.
Yeah.
Right? But if it was a 4-star review and they were like, oh, I loved everything except Reggie, like, that would hurt because that's your baby, right? And so many authors put things like that in their books. It's a conundrum, to say the least, to be like, let's put our rawest forms out there and then please judge us. Because we're not all going to get 5-star reviews, right? Even whatever our favorite book is, there's going to be someone out there in the world that's like, oh my gosh, that was a DNF for me. I did not finish that. I do not like that. Like, why did this book even get created? And it's like, well, because I loved it and everything about it, and it was fantastic. You know, it's writing's a funny thing like that, and it's a tricky balance, I think, and especially as a debut author, right? I'm only on my 2nd book, so I'm right there with you. We have to rely on those ratings a little bit more to open other doors and to access other things than someone who's on their 30th book.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I call it, I'm currently in 2nd book writing hell. I think, you know, I have heard that this is a real thing where, you know, you do your debut and then you have forgotten how to be a writer because you spent so much time trying to publish the thing, and then you're marketing and you're doing all these other things, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm supposed to continue writing things. And also, you know, I have totally, not to say that Trisha, the next character that I'm focusing on, is not, doesn't have some pieces of me, but she is the polar opposite of Daniela as a character in every possible way, in career, personality, the way she looks at life, the things that she does, the way she operates, and so I did it to myself. So it has been very different to look at the world differently, and I write from the first person female perspective. And so for that to be believable, the way I write her is the opposite of anything that I would ever do in my entire life. And so that's been a challenge. It's been a challenge to do that. And like I said, I did it to myself. It's my own fault. But it is in progress. But yes, we do rely on the subjectivity and objectivity of others for our work to be seen, and especially as small press and medium press and self-published authors, right? Like, I'm with a small press, so that getting your name out there is very different than when you are with a traditional Big Four publisher, or even a medium level, you know, like you're talking about, like Tor or like Orbit, right? Like those guys, I consider like a mid-level, right? Where it's like those books, they have marketing budgets, they show up in big newsletters, sometimes, you know, they get reviewed in big outlets. You know, someone like me with my small press, I'm not going to be in the New York Times book review. Right? And that's not to say that the writing isn't as good, right? That
100%.
That it like should not be there, but the reality is I ended up with a small press because I'm a cross-genre writer. I'm a mixed genre. Was one of the things, a lot of the feedback that I received from agents and presses, that I am mixed genre. So, but yeah, we need those reviews because otherwise the books don't get pushed on Amazon. They don't beat the algorithm and like all of these different things. So like getting into the minutia of the publishing industry is something that I didn't expect to have to do. Like that was like oh, I'm just gonna write the book and it's gonna publish and everyone's gonna read it.
Yeah, being an author is I think frequently misconstrued that way. I too thought like, oh, I'll write a book and then that'll be great and then I'll write another book and then it was like, okay, you wrote a book and now go market. And it was like, wait, what? I am not a marketer. I'm an author. I write words on pages, like, and those pages aren't social media. Like those pages look in like 6x9 format.
So the foray now. I might be one of those really weird millennials where, well, I'm at the elder end of millennial, right? I think the younger millennials might be more comfortable with this, but my social media was basically like, oh, every like 4 months I'll post a picture on my Instagram. And so when I realized that I had to do more than that, the first time I spoke at a camera, I was like, I have to record myself talking about. I was like, what am I doing? I can't believe I'm doing this. I've gotten more comfortable as time has gone on. But bizarrely enough, the things that don't really bother me now, like I said, like I'm better at it, like talking on like TikTok and stuff, and I've done like different things now. But the thing that didn't bother me was like signing up and talking, like doing stuff like this, or like being on a podcast or whatever. That I was like, oh, this is great. This is actually a lot of fun. But probably because I have a theater dance background, so I was like,
okay. Love that. We're a big theater family here too.
Yeah, so I have a big, huge, like I was in community theater, and I went to professional performing arts high school in New York City, and so that, like, the interaction or like that doesn't bother me, but the idea of showing my own, like recording my own face and talking about things or talking about my book, I was like, this is weird. Is this weird? This is weird. And I wasn't the selfie person either, but I've since gotten out of that. So the social media to me is almost like, at this point, is somewhat of a necessary evil. But
100%.
Everyone has their own way that they go about their account, right? So I try to have a very varied social media account. Like mine is, yes, obviously I am advertising my debut. I want people to buy it. I want people to see it. I compare it to other books and things like that. But I also post, I want people to know who I am too. So I post things about my life and who I am. I post things that I do. I'm also a teacher. So I've started doing this thing, like, what do I read with my students? And, like, talking about the stories and the books that I read with my students and why, and, like, talking a little bit about the themes of that. I do book reviews also. I do, like, little, like, if I do, like, an unboxing, I go bookstore shopping. I do, like, all those little things, like, anything within the book world. And, like, just seeing that, I think it's good to be, like, well-rounded, but also show who you are. And because people want to know you, and that makes a connection to who you are in your writing, and then they'll read something and they'll go, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense that this is a part of the story. That makes sense that this is the way that she writes. So I think that's, you have to find your niche in that marketing or social media world. Does all of it work? I don't know. But I'm having fun now, so that's what I do.
Good. And what social medias are you on, Rachel? So for people to find you and to learn more about you.
I am on literally everything at this point. I am on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I am on Blue Sky and Twitter. And where else am I? Those are my main ones. And I'm all the same handle. It's Madam Ray Ray. And that has been a holdout from when I created my first ever account, and I have never changed it, and now I won't ever change it, and all of my accounts are exactly the same.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And for people that maybe, don't have those accounts or things like that, what future, things can people look forward to from you, either events or promotions, anything, any other news coming up?
So currently I am just focused on working on my work in progress, but, you can get Sushi and Sea Lions anywhere that books are sold. And you can obviously check out all of my socials to see what it is that I am up to and what I'm doing. A lot of the things that I'm capable of doing right now are local, so I am in the New York metro area. But when I do have, news about when the next book is coming out and things like that, that'll all appear on my website. I also have a website, rachelcorsini.com. And all of my things are usually linked in my link tree, which you can also get connected to my Instagram. You know the drill. Like, it's all put up there together. But currently, like, at the very moment, there's nothing in the immediate future. So I'm work in progress functioning. That's what it is.
I love a good work in progress. I am work in progress in my book 3. I relate completely. Eventually, editing will be over, but until then, that's where we're at.
Editing, I can't. Actually, I'm an editor. I call it like first draft hell, and which is also now second book hell, is first draft hell. And then I will pick and pick and pick and pick and pick at something. That is what I love. I love once the story is out, and then I'm like, oh, this is the story. And then I can just go in there and, like, write and shuffle and extend scenes and move things and be like, oh, this belongs here or this belongs here or whatever, because I'm a plantser. I'm not like a heavy outliner. So my first draft really is kind of like a fancy outline, and then I'm like picking apart things and moving things around and like, oh, this is what this is really about. Yeah.
That's fun. That's kind of like a puzzle, right? Like,
yeah.
You're putting all the pieces together, and then you're like, oh, I see the picture, and then you can kind of like go in after it.
I did it.
Yes. Oh, I just kind of love listening to your journey and your characters, and I haven't had a chance to read Sushi and Sea Lions yet, but it sounds right up my alley. I can't wait to check it out. To everyone else watching today, I hope you check it out with me. If you do, leave something in the comments. We can chat about it. Maybe we can do a book club together. Who knows? Let me know. But thank you so much for joining. And again, Rachel, thank you. And we'll see everyone next week. All right. Bye.